back with Ryann Pedone. She and Confederatefirewater won the First Go 3D Sale Graduate Incentive here at Pink Buckle, held in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Ryann, this is a neat horse. You raised him. What else can you tell us about him?
You know, I ran his three-quarter sister several years ago, and she was pretty special to us. Bob and Revae Barthle owned the mom, the dam to him, and a special firebug. And I rode her, and then we partner on the babies. So he was by Johnny Reb Jackson. It's the only Johnny Reb Jackson that has ran this year. I was a little bit behind from making the finals last year, so I had a lot of hopes for the colt because I could feel a lot of talent. And there was just some little things that he was doing that was like kind of holding him back. So I took a break, tried to reassess like maybe a different way to communicate with him to get him to do what I was hoping he would do. And I sent him to work cows, switched him left for a little bit just because his deal was he'd kind of cheat the second and third a little bit, and then kind of get a little bit elevated leaving it, and he'd clock like a 7, a 6, and a 7 here, like during Ruby at this big pattern, but he could have been like a half a second faster if he would just smooth out. So did a bunch of different stuff, sent him to work cows, all that stuff. So I've been racking my brain, switched him left for a little bit to get him ready for this big pattern. Then, you know, like as trainers, sometimes we're just like, I don't know, I give up. So I had offered him for a reasonable price to Josh Andrews, which I've watched Josh take a horse that wasn't quite there yet and bring him along, fix their little stuff, and then do really well on him. So I figured maybe he just needed a little bit more time. And what Josh took him home, loved him, said the only way I won't take him is if he x-rays bad on his back. Well, we hadn't had any issues with the horse, and so when they x-rayed his back, they sent the x-rays to us. Horse never palpated sore. Took him to the chiropractor, Dale Elliott, he's great. And he had told the girl that works with me, Lexi, he's like, you know, the only thing that could be bothering that horse is if he buries up into that second and it pinches him a little bit, could elevate up. And she came back and told me that. I was like, oh, you know, blew that off. Because I'm not a big kissing spine person. Just I've had a lot of horses that x-ray with it that I've won on. I've had some horses that had back issues that were sore, x-ray perfectly clean, you know, so I'm like, I think it's overrated. So when we got here Tuesday night, my husband, he injected his back and shockwaved his back because it just got him back. Different horse. The first go, he bobbled a little bit. Ran an 18-3, bobbled the first little bit, but stayed honest and just smooth on the second, third. The second go, ran a 17-8, which was almost exactly a second off of Pop the Bubbly, which my dad owns. And so, but it was smooth, and I could feel him confident, and he left it smooth. So, you know, it's like as trainers or people that are competing, I've always said, like, either a horse needs time, a horse doesn't naturally want to be a jerk. So I was racking my brain as a trainer, like maybe, you know, he needs to go somewhere else time, but something was bothering him. So I feel like super happy they've got to the end of that. Looking forward to the Ruby Buckle now. Josh kind of gave me like smack about it. He's like, now, I was like, hey, I am open-minded. I learned something. So when I'm going to be banging my head up against that window, we're breaking out the x-ray. We're x-raying the back because that horse was so sound everywhere. And I guess like when he was bearing up. So a lot of times I think people get too emotional in what their horses do out there instead of trying to like reassess like maybe riding. And I reassessed my riding constantly with that colt because I could feel the talent in him and maybe how I'm communicate to him. And then if something's bothering the horse, you know. And so I kept trying not to get down about it because it's, you know, some of them peak and mature at different levels. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So I learned something from a fellow competitor, and I appreciate it. So anyhow, it was nice to get a check, even if it was like a 3D check in the sale. Still, he won money, and he won money in the 2D in the futurity, and he won money in the sale grad deal in the futurity deal. So I just appreciate the whole Pink Buckle thing. Appreciate it's fun during the sale. Appreciate the stallion owners. It's just so much opportunity, and you know, we never had that before. It's really industry changing, and I'm really excited to be here during that time. You know, back in the day, it was when NBHA came along and the D's came along. That was industry changing, and now we're seeing a whole different type of change in the industry, and it's just really exciting to be like in the mix of it. So
I appreciate you sharing that story so much, and I think everyone watching will too, because you're right, it is, barrel racing can get emotional because we put so much into it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's encouraging to hear people say there's not a straight line to success, right? Like it can look like this, it can look like this, it can look like this. So I love that you share that story, and horses do always keep us humble and always keep us learning. We appreciate you, Ryan. You always come to play, you work hard, and you always have a smile on your face. So we're so happy. Congratulations on your success.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.